While the world watches Gaza and Ukraine, and the tanker traffic backing up outside the Strait of Hormuz, a war that supposedly ended 4 years ago has quietly restarted. In the past 2 weeks, Yemen's internationally recognized government says it has carried out over 180 attacks on Iran-backed Houthi rebels. The Houthis say they've killed hundreds of government troops. Missiles are hitting Red Sea ports, drones are hitting residential neighborhoods, and a truce that held, however shakily, since 2022 is gone. This is the story of how Yemen's frozen civil war thawed out at the exact moment the region could least afford it. To understand why this is happening now, you have to go back to July. Yemen's civil war never technically ended. The Houthis, a Zaidi Shia movement backed by Iran, captured the capital Sanaa back in 2014. A Saudi-led coalition intervened in 2015 on behalf of the internationally recognized government. Hundreds of thousands died, and in April 2022, both sides agreed to a truce. Not peace, a truce. The guns went quiet, but nothing was resolved. That truce technically expired years ago. It just kept holding out of inertia because nobody wanted to be the one who restarted a war that had already killed so many. Then, on July 13th of this year, Saudi Arabia struck the runway at Sanaa airport, preventing an Iranian flight carrying a senior Houthi delegation from landing. It was a small surgical move, but it was also a message. The old rules of restraint were off the table. The Houthis didn't wait long to respond. On August 6th, the Houthis launched what they called a large-scale operation, missile and drone strikes on Yemeni government military camps in Hadramout and Marib provinces. Yemeni officials said at least 30 government soldiers were killed. The Houthis claimed the number was closer to hundreds of casualties. Either way, it was the deadliest single attack in the conflict in years. The same day, Houthi forces struck across the border into Najran in southern Saudi Arabia, wounding civilians, including a child. That's significant. Hitting Saudi territory directly is a level of escalation the Houthis had mostly avoided since the 2022 truce. 2 days later, on August 8th, Yemeni government forces did something they hadn't done in months. They launched their own counteroffensive. Multiple front lines, multiple axes, according to a military spokesman, framed as retaliation and as protection for civilians. A Cambridge Middle East specialist described the risk bluntly. Yemen was tipping back toward full-scale conflict because the 2022 truce had already expired in every sense except the paperwork. From there, it didn't slow down. It's continued literally through the week this video is being made. What makes this escalation different from previous flare-ups is the range of targets. On August 9th, Houthi missiles and drones struck the Red Sea port city of al-Makha, also known as Mocha, killing at least 4 people and destroying boats and weapons the Houthis said belonged to Saudi-backed forces. 2 days later, on August 11th, they hit al-Makha again and struck residential areas in Marib. A separate Houthi drone strike that same day killed 2 government soldiers further south, in Shabwa province. Meanwhile, the government hasn't been sitting still either. Just hours before this video went live, Yemeni forces announced they'd carried out drone strikes on Houthi fighters in Marib and artillery strikes on Houthi positions in the northern Al-Jawf governorate, describing the targets as, quote, gatherings and dens. So this isn't one battle, it's a rolling exchange, hitting ports, cities, military camps, and cross-border targets almost daily, which is exactly why it's so easy to miss if you're not looking for it. There's no single dramatic headline, just a body count that keeps climbing in the background. Wars don't usually restart with a declaration. They restart the way this one did. A runway strike here, a retaliatory missile barrage there, a counteroffensive framed as self-defense, until one day you look up and 180 strikes have happened in a week, and nobody outside the region noticed. Yemen's civil war was never resolved. It was just paused. And right now, in the shadow of every other Middle East story getting the headlines, that pause is ending. If you want to understand where this region is heading next, don't just watch Gaza. Don't just watch Hormuz. Watch Yemen.